podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
O'Hare finds more and more. Finds Watson. Opportunity for Watson. It's the prodigal son. Sunderland fans had fallen out of love with Tommy Watson when he announced a few weeks ago that he's leaving the club in the summer. They are in love with him again. He has just slotted them within sight of a return to the Premier League. He could be playing against them next season. Tommy Watson, a local lad, is a local hero. 19 years of age. Sunderland on the brink. Sunderland are back. Back in the big league. Back where they think they belong. 8 years. 8 long years. 4 of those in the third tier of English football. But once again, Sunderland are top tier, top ranking. Once again, Sunderland fans can say, we are Premier League. This season, Oxford, Preston, Plymouth. Next season, Liverpool, Manchester, and best of all, Newcastle. The tide and the weir will flow from the same source for the first time since 2016. Rivalry in the northeast of England is back on.
Hello everyone and welcome to How Are the Podcast. It's Gav and you join a very broken Gav today after 3 days of drinking non-stop and celebrating. Just about got my voice back. And I'm amazed I've made it for this podcast because we are here to talk about Wembley, talk about London, Trafalgar Square, Covent Garden, crying tears of joy and all that other good stuff with a bunch of men who were also in the capital this weekend. And I mean, I've got no plan for this. I'll introduce everybody, then we'll just talk shit because I think it's the only way to approach this because it's the first time I've actually tried to talk about anything that's happened this weekend beyond what the fuck went on. First off, we've got Sexy Mike Dunn, as he was named just before we hit record by Bomber. All right, mate.
All right, Gav, I'm not feeling too sexy right now, I have to admit, but physically I'm a broken man, but emotionally very, very happy after the weekend.
Yeah. Also with us, as I just said, is Bomber. Hello, mate.
Hello, mate. Hello, everyone. And yes, all the better for seeing Mike.
Yes, and also with us, we've got Anne Watterson, also very sexy and tired and knackered. All right, mate.
Oh, yeah, just echo everyone else. Completely broken. 2 things got left at Wembley on Saturday. My voice and Ben Burton Diaz. Apart from that.
Yeah. I mean, I am just worn out, lads. I don't know about anybody else, but like I've tried to listen to the pod Martin and Chris did straight after the game. Martin sounded mortal, by the way. He was 100% pissed as fuck. But I mean, I think everybody was, to be honest. I think it was just an unbelievable weekend, wasn't it? Like, I couldn't even put into words what that was like, really, unless you were there. Like, I've said repeatedly the last couple of days, like, I don't even think it's sunk in yet. It was
I agree with you there. I don't think it's sunk in. It might do. I think it will when the fixtures get announced. You know what I mean? I think that's when it'll come to me where I'm going, we might have to start like kind of thinking about where we're going and who we're playing against and stuff like that. But at the minute, I just really couldn't care. You know what I mean?
Can you imagine when the fixtures come out and looking at Boxing Day and not looking at Bolton at home or something like that, looking at a Premier League team? It's going to be madness. But yeah, it's not sunk in for me either.
I just don't think I ever let myself believe that we were going to do it until maybe an hour before kickoff when I was half cut, like pissed. So I was just like so confident then, but it's just mad that it's happened. That moment when Watson scored, I'm still going, what the fuck, did that just happen or am I still in a dream here? Because after that, you're just walking on air for the rest of the weekend. Like,
I'm still waiting for someone to tell us that something went wrong and we aren't promoted. Like I'm still not convinced we're actually promoted. I'm still
waiting for a Swindon Town-esque.
Yeah.
Waiting for...
Somebody's going to come out and they're going to be like, Watson's goal didn't actually go in; it went through the side netting, and we can't give it. And we're going to
last month or something.
Yeah, like someone sent that graphic of all the teams for next season's Premier League, and I was still looking at that going, nah, we're not there yet. It just doesn't feel. It doesn't. Does that make sense to anyone? It doesn't feel like.
No, I think we're all the same.
The penny hasn't dropped yet. I'm still sitting here like, nah, I don't know about that.
Yeah. You got the badges of all the 20 Premier League clubs for the 25-26 season, and you see ours down there next to like Tottenham, and you know in and around. Man, I can't put it into words. It's ridiculous.
I mean, let's start off, I guess, by talking about the weekend as a whole, because I mean, it was unbelievable, obviously, but I'm sure people who weren't there were seeing the scenes at Covent Garden, Trafalgar Square on the Friday night, and probably very, very jealous. I would have been if I'd have been at home. Was everybody there, by the way? Obviously, I saw you, Bomber. We were together for quite a bit of the day. Were you two lads there too?
I didn't get over to Saturday morning. I couldn't get over Friday night, but I actually had absolute stress before the game because my flight was at 10 o'clock and from Dublin, and the steps when you're going up onto a plane that like connect on to the plane. Yeah. But we all got on and everyone was on, and then I saw the air hostess constantly messing with it. She couldn't get the door closed, and it was like 10:30, 11 o'clock, 11:30. I was like, I'm not going to fucking make this game. It was about 11:45, and she goes, we finally have the steps fixed on the plane, we can now go. And I think I got into Luton about 10-1, and then of course there was no coverage in the airport to try to get an Uber. I was like, I'm actually stressing out here now. I'm not going to make it. And there's two random lads they were from Sunderland. They were over for a work do in Dublin. They were like, "Oh, we've got an Uber. Are you all right?" It's like, I've got no way to get there. He's like, "Come on, just hop in with us." And that fella brought us straight into Wembley in the taxi. So I don't know what his name is, but just thanks to him and his brother, whoever he was, because otherwise I wasn't making it to the game.
It was fate.
Class.
It was fate. Yeah. It was, to be honest, the whole weekend was lovely like that. Like that's probably one of a million stories, but it was a celebration of us. You know what I mean? Like I never saw a single Sheffield United fan till I got on Wembley Way. I think I just didn't see them anywhere.
The tube didn't see a single one till we got on the tube to Wembley Park.
Yeah. Yeah, and the night before, obviously, you're walking around London. We were staying in Westminster, so we had to get the tube, change it wherever it was, and then we headed towards Covent Garden. Got out of Covent Garden, it was already going. Then it was jumping, and right outside the Nag's Head. And it's another my favourite part of that. Like, other than the fact I got to see people, and me and you had a good few drinks and a catch up bomb on that. But other than that, was watching normal people try and go about their daily business. While
I don't know if you remember, Gav. I don't know if you remember, because we'd had quite a few by that point. But do you remember about 5 o'clock there was those two women who were trying to get past a crowd of about 1,000 blokes, and one had a Birkenstock bag and one had a Dior bag, and they were in their little kitten heels trying to be all prissy, trying to get through a crowd, trying to hop over empty cans and crushed bottles and carrier bags and everything. It was such like a strange sight to see.
What was it like compared to the last ones, like the Charlton and Portsmouth? Was it a better crack this time, or?
I think so. Yeah.
I think so. I think Trafalgar was a little bit more, not subdued, but a little bit more, like the police presence felt a bit stronger, and they were a little bit stricter in terms of taking alcohol off people and stopping people going in the fountains and climbing on the statues and stuff.
There were and there weren't. Like we had cans and all kinds, and they went, I can't let you through with them, but if you go down there, we might not see you walking with your drink.
So before I met you, I was stood around the outside with Niall and Connor, and the police were doing rounds around the outside of the perimeter of Trafalgar Square. The walls are and the steps up to the gallery. They were doing laps with carrier bags, just taking alcohol off of everybody. So I think you'd have had to be proper in the thick of it to kind of get away with it.
We had to climb over.
I managed to smuggle a couple in.
I had to climb over a wall, which was quite fun. I pissed already as well going down there. But just with you going about them two with the bands, like just up where we got dropped off of our Uber was where I think Cats was on. There was like a few shows on. You see these people, suited and booted, probably like Aristocats or something. And there's us driving down our Sunderland tops singing in the eyes of my Ender song. It's just come two completely different worlds, wasn't there? But I mean, like in Trafalgar, the first time we got there, some lad was lighting a flare off, and then his flare kind of went wrong, and it was just sparking, and I had sparks all over me top. My cousin's got a fucking scar on his head. He looks like Harry Potter now. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just mad.
The listeners can't see this, but I'm now showing you my burn from a smoke bomb. Managed to scald me hand. I've got one
a little one there. I don't know if you can see it. There we are. You see a little one there? Just on top
took the end off my finger, like with a flare. And I've got one on my wrist, and I had a brand new From the Terraces polo on, which I'd bought especially for the weekend, and I've melted all the sleeve because the pyro just exploded in my hand. But like, go back to what you asked, Mike. I actually thought this was the best it's been, even though, like, Bomber's right, the police were a bit more like, they were a bit more on it. Mm. I thought the atmosphere was mint. I thought it was helped by the fact I think every single person there had some pyro with them, because it was like, it just seemed like this year everyone just decided to bring pyro.
I've not stopped coughing. I've not stopped coughing. There's smoke in my lungs, man.
It's like, I woke up in the morning and I just kind of like, my nose was blocked, and I was like, what the hell? And I just had red gunk coming out my nostrils. It was disgusting. But no, I like the
Covent Garden was class though.
It was, for me, that was the highlight of the day before.
Yeah.
It was Covent, because it was...
Because you got to see me.
Well, that, of course. And, you were me little bitch, and you ran around the shop for me cans as well, which was nice of you.
That's low.
But no, I thought that it was just a lovely atmosphere. And like I said before, it just felt like a celebration of us. Like I said, it was like just catapulting Mackems into the capital. It's funny every time, because we shouldn't be allowed out. Like,
do you not think it was because...
Do you not think it was, Gav?
Oh, sorry. Go on. Because I echoed twice there. Do you not think it was a little bit that the pressure didn't really feel on us this time? Whereas a couple of years ago when we played Wickham, I thought it was still good there, but the pressure was on, especially the Charlton one as well, where you were a little bit nervy, and it kind of rumbled into the atmosphere the day after. Whereas Saturday, the atmosphere in the ground was unbelievable, and it was same on Friday night. I think it was just because we were just like, well, it is what it is. I don't think anyone was like overly nervous.
I think the manner in which we got to the final, like the two games against Coventry, everybody is just kind of still on a high from that, because it was only a week and a half before that, and we've not had any football in between, not Sunderland football anyway. So I think everyone came down to the capital with that air of confidence, having overcome so many hoodoos and unwanted records this season. None, the very latest of which was winning at Coventry and doing them over two legs. I think everyone came down to the capital with an air of confidence rather than anxiety as to what could or couldn't happen. Or with the League One final, with the Charlton, not so much Wickham, because I think we came into the Wickham one confident, but the Charlton one in particular, there was kind of that pressure and that anxiety of like, we need to get out of League One. This is we need to win at Wembley and everything else. Whereas last Friday, sorry. Yeah. It was just, everyone was there confident, happy, and just wanting to wheel the players on. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it was definitely that. I think it was, and it was also, I think genuinely, if you pressed all of us, if we got beat, I think most of us would have been like, well, whatever. We could have dealt with another year in the Championship. Whereas if you flip the script to Sheffield United, spent an absolute fortune, a lot of pressure on them. And I said that when we had Gab Sutton on last week, and he thought I was being harsh when I said this, but he didn't agree with us. But I maintain that they blew automatics. They were top with 5-6 games to go. They were top of the league, and they lost 3 on the bounce. For me, they blew out. So there's the pressure from that. There's a pressure from having spent a fortune, 13 million on a striker who hasn't scored a goal yet. All these things mount up, and then on top of that, Sheffield United fans have the anxiety of having never seen the team win there. It's been 100 years since Sheffield United won at Wembley. They've lost every other game. So, all the pressure was on them. There was none on us. And it did fed into the atmosphere, I think, when you spoke to people the night before and the day before. Everyone was just happy to be there, because how many times in your life do you get to go to Wembley? We've been like 5, 6 times in 11 years. It's just, this might be the last time we go for a long time. And I just think people were enjoying it. And what I found as well, there's always been a lot of kids there, but for me, it felt like a lot more people had brought kids down and thought like, this is sort of trying to indoctrinate them properly into being Sunderland. Like a lot of kids who were like 6, 7, 8, 9-year-old, the mums and dads wanted them to be there, to be at Trafalgar Square and be at Covent Garden and sing Sunderland songs and stand on the statue holding the flares and all that kind of thing. It was just a lovely atmosphere, and I think we did ourselves a real credit collectively. I just think when you look at the coverage from other people outside of our bubble, I think a lot of people secretly are quite jealous that we got to do that and we did that, and that sort of expression of your football club away from the pitch. It's like we're Sunderland and we're here, you know what I mean? And I think a lot of fans of other clubs look at that and go, bloody hell, they're a big club, aren't they?
It's one thing doing it in the terraces, isn't it, for your home games or your hardcore away support, but to have something like that, everyone descend, a few hundred miles down into the capital city and pretty much take over central London.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of clubs that could do that.
When did the drinking start on the Friday then? Like for everybody, we were on the train 8 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, it's early, but we might as well crack one open.
Do you know what it was like? Collective thing with our group of mates who were going, a couple of the mates who I went with, Gavin, and it was all right. We're gonna have an easy one on Friday, and then Saturday, proper kick in, but we don't want to be too rough for Friday. That never happened. That never happened. We were down in like dribs and drabs. Like a few of them got down quite early. The train hour was on like 2 o'clock, or something. We got down around about 5:30. We stayed at Islington, which I've got to say, if anyone who lives in Islington listens to this podcast, go to the Hercules Park. That's one of the best bars I've ever been in my life. Absolutely amazing. Well, we were like dribs and drabs, went to Trafalgar. Some of them stopped the Saturday, but we were hammered on the Friday. And it was all just, we'll be all right. We'll be fine, everything like that. But yeah, the drinking started pretty much straight away.
On the train
shots
down,
were flowing, baby Guinnesses were flowing. It's class, man.
That's what it's all about, isn't it? What about for you, Bomber? You made your own way there on your own and then met up with people, but were you fighting on the train?
So I came down by myself. I wasn't on the train, I was on the National Express, so I caught coach. Left Gloucester at 8 o'clock in the morning, got into Earl's Court actually at about 11, found a pub around by Shepherd's Bush because my hotel was near there. Had a couple of quiet ones to myself, checked into the hotel, and then actually took one of the line bikes for a ride through Kensington and Hyde Park and that to get into where you were. And then I was basically walking around central London trying to find someone that I knew or trying to get hold of somebody that I knew. And so you were my first like group drink. And that was when I can't remember what time I met you, probably about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the rest is history, isn't it? But Mikey, were you solo drinking in the airport?
Yeah, 1 or 2 there, and then literally when I got to Wembley, I texted my mates who had already gone in because we were supposed to meet in Baker Street, but I was so late. I was like, just meet me in the stadium. And I was like, they had 5 pints ready for me, and I was just lorrying them into me like half full. I had 5 pints. I don't even know what I was drinking, but I just lorried 5 into me, and first 20 minutes, I was like, oh fuck, I actually think I drank way too much too quick. But half time I was okay again, but what were the pints in Wembley? I can't even remember what I was drinking, but
there was like Bud, and there was a deal on Bud. One was like 4 Buds for 25, but I went off like I think
what
we
deal?
Got Stella. They were like pints of like there was 6 cans of Stella for 20-odd £, or whatever, and we just put them in pint glasses. Just got
it didn't really matter what I was drinking. I just need something to do.
I will say, Bomber, I was laughing at your little thing there when you were like, I went on one of the bikes as well. I think you're probably the only one of 40,000 Sunderland fans who went down there and got some exercise.
Yeah, it was did a nice little tourist route. Like I said, I went past Buckingham Palace at one point because I had to go to Victoria to drop my bag off. So yeah, I just rode through Kensington, rode through Hyde Park, past Buckingham Palace, and then got got the underground from Victoria over to Covent Garden, and I say met Gavin. The rest is history for the Friday.
It was a bit messy, like, but I can't even remember getting back to the room. If I'm honest, I think we went on a tuk back to the room, but it was crackers, and I thought, well, gotta be up in the morning. I hope I'm not rough, and I wasn't. Luckily, like, I was absolutely fine. But then the next day, obviously, it was all the same again. Just being ridiculously pissed, because you have to be when you go away watching Sunderland, don't you? One of the lads from where I live had a pub booked in Finchley Park. So there was like, I wasn't sure how many people were going to actually turn up. We turned up 20 minutes before it opened. They wouldn't let us in. You know what's, by the way, nearly every, I don't want to generalise, like, but nearly everyone who works at a pub in London's a dickhead. They're all rude and obnoxious. Honest, I don't think I met a single polite barman or bar lady. I didn't see, they were all ridiculous. Anyways, so, there's about 50 Sunderland fans standing outside on the street by 10 to at this point, and they still didn't open the doors. And you're thinking, fucking hell, slept we're in, man. But then after that, obviously, we got in, good atmosphere. I think it was a North Star, I think was the name of the pub. It was good atmosphere. Then it was rammed in the end, like absolutely rammed. And then that's just like a sort of 10-minute tube from there to Wembley. But I want to be quite sensible. I want to get in the ground. I was like, I just want to be in the ground, soak it all in. And it must have been sort of 2:15 by the time I got on the ground. So I was like, I didn't even bother going for a pint. The queues were ridiculous. So like, I wish I had, because I tell you what it is. I don't know about yous. That's the hottest I've ever been in the ground.
It was warm, wasn't it? Yeah, it was very warm.
Sweat me tits off. Them 5 pints will come in handy, Mike. I tell you.
Yeah. Except for going to the toilet every 15 minutes after that.
That's another thing I don't like about Wembley. It's all cubicles. So you're like, you're waiting there just to get a piss. And other than that, I like Wembley, actually. It's all right. But I think it was just it was a nice atmosphere even walking on Wembley Way, wasn't it? Like,
it was good cracking. Yeah. It was really good cracking. Everyone, as you were saying, everyone was in such good form. Like, there was no sense of tension or like apprehension or anything going into it. Everyone just was really relaxed, really soaking in the occasion. And you could see even it was the only first time I saw some fans, obviously, when I got with the Sheffield United fans, like, people were mixing well enough, chatting away to each other. Like, there was no sort of, I remember being at the Portsmouth one a few years ago, and the amount of fights you'd see on Wembley Way, like, there was some of that shit this time. Like, it was actually good. Like, it was nice to have that sort of atmosphere to soak it in. I think what you were saying.
Yeah, it was good natured, wasn't it?
Yeah, everyone was just kind of relaxed, which was good. That was the good part of it. Like,
did anyone go into the fan park?
No,
I heard the queues were rammed. You couldn't get in for hours.
So me, Gary, and Paul went into the fan park probably at like 2:00. So we're talking like an hour before me. But we'll just see if we can get a quick one before. No, it must have been just before 2 actually, because they shut the bar at 2. And we went straight to the bar, no queuing whatsoever. We actually, in that kind of half-hour space that we were in there, managed to get 2 or 3 pints in. No queues at the bar. Everyone had kind of gone into the ground early doors. And it was quite good in there. It was good. It had some good music going, and the songs and everything else. It was good.
We went the Green Man. It was really good. Green Man was spot on. And you know how everyone says about the Green Man, where everyone goes there and you kind of get there. There was absolutely, there was loads there. But it was fine. They had about 20 bars open, and they had loads of bar staff on. So all the bar staff had like their own corner instead of moving around. You know what I mean? And it was absolutely fantastic. I mean, I probably, and when we were having this conversation about Box Park, weren't we, in our group chat? Like, I probably wouldn't go Box Park again now after being the Green Man. It was a mile better.
Right.
But at least that lad who had Box Park was celebrating after the game, wasn't he?
It would have been good after the game. It would have been good after the game if we had it.
Well, it was still, we tried to get in after the game, but it was still only Sheffield United fans only after the game as well.
And it was dead. We walked past, there was nobody, obviously they'd all gone home. It was dead. And you're thinking, bloody hell, you could have made a fortune. Yeah, because we ended up going in before, obviously, we went that one at Finchley Park. I would have wanted to go to the Green. I've seen everyone saying, "Oh, we're going to the Green Man." I'm thinking it's going to be rammed. Like that was me thing. I was thinking we're not going to get served. And now
it was rammed, but it was like, because it's that big, you had plenty of space. Like, we're in like a big group of us, and you had a load of space. Like I say, the bar staff were class. I've got to say, like, everyone in the Green Man were unbelievable. They said, obviously, we'd like a donation to Bradley Library Foundation or whatever. So, everyone was happy to do that, but they were so accommodating. And you still got a lot of space, and it got busy, don't get us wrong, but it wasn't uncomfortably busy, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, I'll probably, if we ever end up back there in the next few years, I might consider
win the FA Cup next season.
And then, after the game, we went in the White Horse, I think it was called. It was just down the side. It was one of the Sunderland pubs. It was all right. They got us a table upstairs, and lo and behold, there was like 20 people in who we knew anyways, so it was good crack. James Nichols from Rotor Report, he was up there as well. Just good sing-song. We were there till it shut. But it was good crack. Anyway, should we talk about the game? Do you want to? I mean, I think we've got to, haven't we?
Yeah, fine as that often.
Yeah.
How many times have you watched it back, by the way?
I've lost count. So
I
watched the whole game back on the bus journey home, because it was they were replaying it on Sky Sports from like 10:30, and my bus back to Gloucester didn't get into Gloucester till 2 a.m. So I watched the whole game back. And I've probably watched it again once since, but in terms of the goals, I couldn't tell you how many times I've watched the goals back. I really couldn't tell. And the celebrations afterwards, I mean, I must have wasted, what are we now? We're Monday, so there's, just over 48 hours gone since the game finished, and I've probably not wasted, but spent 36 hours of my life watching the goals back.
Yeah.
I think easily for like another week, to be honest. That all week long I'll just be going back onto YouTube playing it again over and over and over. Like,
it's the million angles, isn't it? It's just, it's just like, it's like everything, the photos, just, when you look like back at like the 73 final, there's one camera, not very much crowd footage. I mean, these days it's just cameras everywhere, isn't it? So it's unbelievable. I've been out for a pint tonight with Ross. Obviously, me and Ross are good mates, but Ross, who works for the club as a photographer now, and we've just been sat looking through the photos he's took of the game, man. Some of them are unbelievable. And I'm like thinking he's one of about 1 million photographers like that. This is going to be a moment in history, in Sunderland's history, like the amount of unbelievable footage, photography, just everything from this occasion that's going to be out there in the ether forever now. I mean, we're not going to be able to escape it. And I mean, it must be awful being a Sheffield United fan, because like it's everywhere you look on social media, isn't it? I mean,
but the way the game went dictated that footage, the emotion in that footage is like 100 times what it would have been if, let's say we'd won like 2 or 3-0 and it was a Wickham relatively comfortable. It'd have still been class, but the manner in which the game unfolded and the manner in which it ended, the emotion, the quality of those photos and that video footage is just magnified 1 million times over, isn't it?
Aye. And then when you're walking around London, there's like till the end. It was everywhere I looked.
Yeah, King's Cross had it all over the shop, didn't it?
Yeah. Even on the way back out, when I was getting on my train on the way back, it was the Black Cat. And then I had like "See You in the Premier League" and that, like King's Cross, biggest train station in England. Like there's just Sunderland everywhere. Leicester Square,
like home game, didn't it? It felt like we were the home side. It's like in a neutral stadium.
Tell you what, though, you've got to give the club credit for all that, like, because
they did well, that stuff.
It did give us an edge, Mike, didn't it? All that, like, it just, like Anne said, it felt like a home game because everywhere you looked, there was Sunderland stuff all over London.
And just the stickers on the poles everywhere you walked up the way. I remember where there was every single pole, there was like a sticker on it, like, to the end.
I think Sam Fender and my end are the most stickered people in London. It was just everywhere, wasn't it? That fucking tree that got cut down on Hadrian's Wall. Forgot the name of it now.
Oh yeah. You could just really imagine now. You just imagine now people who like don't know much about football, but like go and watch Sam Fender in concert now, are going to be like, "Doesn't that footballer hate you?"
It was the one sticker that stood out in my head. Is the Spanish flag, and then you got Maenda dressed as like some sort of like warrior, and he's holding a severed head of Sam Fender above his head. That was the one for me.
No, like because a couple of mags in the metro after we got back. We're like, what's the thing with Sam Fender? Why do you hate Sam Fender? I don't think we do, really. I think it's just because it rhymes with my ender. It's just unfortunate, to be honest. And
I don't really like it, but I've got to be honest.
Yeah, it's not my cup of tea.
I'm not even going to get into it. We're celebrating. I'm not going to get into why I don't like him.
Anyways, back to the game. Like I said, I've watched it back a couple of times, like sort of the highlights, extended highlights and stuff. And I didn't think in the moment that it was too bad, that first half. Like, I felt like we started slow, we looked nervous. but the Sky commentators were like basically saying Sunderland were absolutely tragic. Like, might as well have just said these are absolutely shite and don't deserve to be in the game. I didn't feel like it was as bad as that. I thought we started slow, but I think, it was just
that's interesting. That's interesting because I thought in stadium, I thought we were awful first half, and then when I was sat on the coach watching it back, watching what the Sky cameras would have seen, I watched it back thinking, oh, actually, we weren't that bad. I was probably a bit too overcritical in the stadium, but I don't know if that's a mixture of like anxiety and just wanting us to do well. I'm not sure, but we weren't great, but we weren't terrible.
No, I think it was probably that the VAR call, wasn't it, Mike? Like after that point, we were all right. I think before then, it was Sheffield United's game up until that point.
I think obviously up to they got their first goal, and then the VAR decision, we were struggling. Like, we were just struggling to sort of get a foothold in the game, obviously, because I think we've said it before in our group chat as well. Like, in midfield, Dan Neil was struggling to get into the game. Job was sort of hit and miss at the start. But
why do you reckon that was with Dan Neil, by the way? Do you think it was just...
I don't know, like, my own theory is that he's just, as he's a local lad, captain of the team, in Wembley final, just probably the occasion might have got to him too much. Like, it could just be that he had a bad game and it was just unfortunate it was at Wembley final. But I think the narrative people will take is that because it was the local lad that maybe the pressure got to him on the day. But I mean, let's be honest, he's been, I think, barring maybe the first couple of months of the season, be one of our best players all season. Like, so.
I think he was just trying too hard, mate, to be honest. He was just trying a bit too hard because, as you said, he's a fan. And if the first couple of passes he did come off, he'd have been fine. But when you do that and you think, I need to make up for this, it happens. It happens. It's one of them things, isn't it?
It was actually such a brave call by DEBRIEF to take Daniel off. I know we'll probably get into it, but like, I knew he wasn't playing well, but I wouldn't have thought he was going to take him off. I was like, geez, when he did that was ballsy. I sort of kind of was like, Jesus, he's going to go for this now. Like, if you're taking your captain off 20,
especially after losing Luke O'Nine so early as well. That's your two leaders. That's your two club leaders. So yeah, it was a very ballsy call.
Yeah. But I think their first goal, I think Dan Neil, like, he got caught in two minds. If you watch it back, he doesn't know whether to go to Hamer or go to Campbell, and what ends up happening is we have three men drawn to Hamer and one man drawn to Campbell, which is Lafay, and he's wrong side of him. And it was just like, but at the same time, it was an unbelievable pass. Pass. I don't think he got enough credit on the commentary for that pass. I think when you watch it back, he's basically timed it perfectly for the run and threaded it through three bodies, and it was just a great bit of quality. And then the finish was a great bit of quality.
It was a good counter-attack. Like, it was so quick. Within a minute, I was like, right, we had a corner and they just had to score, and within, was it maybe a minute less even?
Yeah.
But you can show, like, when that goes in, you can't even say much. You're like, well, that's just good quality. Like, they've a good players, good team. Like, they're going to have moments like that, and they punished us then. Like,
it was a great goal.
I think the second goal in inverted commas, I think that kind of the decision sucked the wind out of them. What do you reckon of that decision then? Do you reckon, I've watched it back a few times now, and
it's probably the right call, but like, if the shoe was on the other foot and that happened to us in the playoff final, I'd be absolutely raging given we hadn't had it for the last 38 games. Like, but
do you know what though? Are you not more? I'd be more pissed off. Well, I was more pissed off actually that the linesman didn't see it, because for me, and we had a really good view of where we were. We were like behind the goal, slightly to the left where that went in, and I'd said like, "Oh, lad, he's offside there, man." And Patterson went straight away. Patterson went like that, put his hands up when he was on the floor. So Patterson knew something was going on. But how's a linesman who's alongside that can't see that two of them, because two of them were offside, and one of them was still interfering with Patterson anyway, then how was the line on not seeing it? Shouldn't have gone to the fact that the referee had to do the whole, I mean, it was all like, it was this whole like, oh, we're going to have to use it this time and the other, wasn't it? Oh, he's got to go to the screen, he's got to announce it on the bloody stadium, this, that, and the other. And it was so unwarranted, because for me it was an easy decision to make. But
I never even thought about it though. When the call went in, I didn't think, maybe the player was going across the goalie. I probably just thought, oh fuck, we're done now. I might go for a point.
Yeah, the guys that were next to me in the stadium, they were like, oh fucking hell, shall we go? They were genuinely thinking of leaving at that point. And And it wasn't until I pointed it out, because I was by myself, so my seat was as a single seat by itself, and I had strangers either side of me. But I said to the lads, I noticed that VAR were checking it, and I pointed up to the screen. I was like, lads, it's VAR, and that no one knew what was going on. But as it happened, the lad who was next to me had Sky Go on his phone, so we were able to watch the Sky Sports coverage as well, which was like a minute or so behind. And we could see, and we saw all the replays and everything, and it was quite clear at the time. So we were confident at that point, like, oh, that's going to be chalked off, no problem, that's going to be chalked off. And obviously, we're watching the Sky coverage in real time, and all the commentators were saying that's going to be chalked off. So whilst the referee was checking it in the stadium, we didn't really know what was going on. Me and the two guys that were next to me were quite relaxed about it, pretty confident it was going to be chalked off. Like,
I'm still not convinced it was that obvious, honestly.
I'm
over the moon. Nah, I don't.
If you watch a lot of, I know, like, we don't watch much Premier League football, like, obviously with us being in the Championship, but if you watch that every single week, that gets chalked off in the Premier League. Every week.
I just don't.
Yeah.
They're definitely offside. I just don't think he's obviously. Is Kiefer Moore one of the offside players or not? Because he motions towards the ball.
It's one of the Moore. It's that Sousa, isn't it? Sousa on the cut. It got given for him. I think it was number 21.
Yeah.
He's because the referee said it, didn't he? He says number 21's interfered with the goalkeeper. Yeah. And you see it's true because, the problem is I don't think Patterson's saving it anywhere, which is probably why he kind of goes a clean and obvious. But I guess
that's what Chris Wilder said after the game, didn't he? He said, I don't think the keeper's getting anywhere near that anyways. So, but look, I'm not fucking bothered. Like, it helped us.
It's not an only time that we're going to be pleased that we got VAR this week.
I know, yeah.
It was just funny.
It was so many podcasts next year giving out about
that. It was funny before the game though, because when they were announcing the referees, they announced the VAR officials, and everyone was like, "Boo!" Booing the fact that there were VAR officials on, and anyways, it ended up helping us a lot. It completely changed the game. At 2-0, we've lost that game. At 1-0, it was almost like my mate who's a Sheffield United fan. I was texting him after the game, and he said that his words were it was like you had got a goal the way you celebrated it, and it changed the tide, and it did. Because and even watching it back, because a lot of people after the game were saying to me we were crap for like an hour, and I was like, I don't think we were. I think as soon as that happened, we were the better team. Because the crap, I think our fans were quiet, and then all of a sudden that happened, and it was like momentum started gathering. People were believing. People were behind the lads. The players felt it. I almost think it helped remove the nervousness from the players on the pitch.
I was going to say, if ever there was evidence of how a crowd can influence your team by supporting them.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I think even like the nervousness drained out of Sirkin, who to that point had just made mistake after mistake. I mean, he did make another one later in the game, which we'll get onto. But I think he was noticeably more confident on the ball and stuff, and I just think it helped all of them, really. Job was the same. Job was more confident. All of a sudden, we were handling Moore a little bit better. It was like, it gave us confidence. And even going into half-time, I'm thinking, we're in this, I turned around to me dad and my brother-in-law and that who I was stood with at the game, me mate, and I was like, these are shite. We can beat these. I saw in 3 games this season against Sheffield United, I've seen absolutely nothing that would suggest they were better than us.
No, agree. You take him out that team and then out there. Like, him is a good player, but the rest are just plodders, aren't they?
They've got him as a decent player, Sousa as a decent player. I think Burrows, the left back, is a decent player, but he got rinsed by Patrick Roberts repeatedly. But they've got the goalkeeper. Cooper is a good player, but I
think Tyrese Campbell's pretty tidy as well. But he's not crap, but
just kind of get over the fact. I can't get over the fact he got released by Stoke. I
can't get over the fact I took him off. To be honest,
well, that and all. No, he's all right, yeah. Like I say, they've got decent enough players, but I don't know. I didn't feel as though we were ever in a position. I was confident. That was it. I was just confident. I was like, we're going to beat these. I maintained that all day. It might be in the drinking, once you've had a good slurp, your confidence does go up to it. It might have been that, but I was just. I don't know about you, Mike. Going into half time, I still thought we were going to win. I still had that belief.
I think, as you said, the crowd was energised after the VAR goal. I think the Mienda have a really good chance, and you scuffed the header, but it was actually a very decent chance.
I think proper 50 pence head, wasn't it? And flying out of the bar.
I love the end, hit the upper tier like after, but I think by half time, start second half, I came out just a couple of minutes late. I was like, Jesus, we look all over these all of a sudden. Like the crowd was up, they were sort of backs against the wall a little bit, and like, despite us not creating many chances, like you just sort of felt that the momentum was slowly coming into our side. And as the game wore on, I think there was only going to be one winner. Even before Mienda scored, I knew full well at least this was going to extra time. We weren't going to lose normal time. Like, and I don't know if that
it was always going to be whether or not we were going to be able to break them down and score. Because obviously, in the last couple of months, that's been one of our downfalls, is our ability to score goals. We hadn't scored many in the league games leading up to it, and we struggled at home against Coventry as well, obviously up until that last minute. So I think for me, it was going to be whether or not we actually were able to convert one of those chances and get a game level.
The belief has probably grown so much though through the two Coventry games. I say, like, even for us and the players, like, you always just felt even if we're not playing well, we're going to get that chance. And the way that things are going for us at the moment, we're more than likely going to score the goal than not. Like, I feel like that's the vibe around the team at the moment. Things are just going our way.
When you've got a player like Lafay on the pitch and Mienda, they're the two for me. When they're on the pitch, you've always got a chance, because Lafay didn't actually have a good game until probably the last 15 minutes. And my dad was like, he's played awful, I'd get him off. And I said I wouldn't, because he's got that.
It was when Roberts came on.
Yeah. Roberts changed the game completely. But
Lafay team played better once Roberts came on.
Yeah. But I think for him, even if we've had players like this down the years, even if he isn't having the best game, you need him on the pitch because he's going to do something. I used to, obviously to a lot lesser degree, but I used to feel like that about Chris Maguire back in League One. Like, Maguire wouldn't play very well, but as long as he was on the pitch. Or McGeady was another one. Players like that sort of.
Amad Diallo a couple of years ago had some terrible games for us, but then ended up getting the ball and curling them on the top corner, didn't he? Yeah.
So like you need to keep them players up. But and Mienda for me, he's a different case because he's just so consistent. Like, comes up against different types of defenders, different types of challenges, and is so physically robust and aggressive and just quick and athletic that he gives anybody problems. Like, he's not to get too far out of me, Sally, but he's one of the players we've got where I look at him and I think, bloody hell, he could actually do something in the Premier League. That's how good he is.
Yeah, totally agree. He just has the full package physically. Like, he's just perfect for Premier League football. Like, he's so athletic. Like,
yeah. And like I say, as the game wore on, I think we just grew in confidence. I think this is where Wilders came up short against Lebris 3 times this season now. I say came up short. They managed to win one of the games, but I still think he was outthought by Lebris. And it was, they went negative, actually. They started sitting back. They were sitting off. They were just going long all the time to Moore, and it wasn't sticking. He was winning the headers, but there was nobody running off him. There was nobody hold it up. And they then made changes, which I think gave us confidence, because they brought off Campbell, didn't they? And they went with I think they put in, was it O'Hare, went in the 10 position, and they took off the right winger, didn't they? They took Bruce. Was it Bruce that went off? And
Brewster came off, and that young came on, didn't he? That Brooks, yeah.
But I just think it gave us like that. We've seen that with Sunderland before, when this used to happen. I think under Mike Dodds quite a bit, where he would like bring off attacking players for defenders, and then all of a sudden give the other team confidence, and they were like, shit, we can get at these. And I think that's what happened. And our response, once the game was getting away from us a little bit, we weren't really creating many chances, even though we were having lots of the ball. Lebris's response was outstanding. Like, won us promotion, in my opinion, to go with, I would never have brought on Tommy Watson. I don't think any of us would, to be honest. But Tommy Watson coming on the left, he kept Mienda on the pitch, and I was saying actually he might take him off and bring on Isidore and go like just like for like there. But when 2 up front, brought on Watson, brought on Isidore, and then put Roberts on the right for Rig, and it just totally changed. We basically went all out attack. They went from 4-4-2 to 4-5-1. We went from 4-5-1 to a 4-4-2, and we just piled the pitch with attacking players who were all on the same wavelength, all understood their jobs on the pitch was just to try and get us back in the game. And that, coupled with them being down 10 men for a couple of different periods of the game, where we just clattered them and won tackles. But then send players off the pitch, and it gave us, we just outnumbered them, and that first goal was a great example of that. It's a long ball, which I think Job picks out the air. Watson's well placed to receive it from him. Watson plays it into Lefay, who plays it to Roberts, and the ball from Roberts, by the way, like, he gets some shit from some of our fans. I tell you what, that was absolutely unbelievable, that pass. And then the first touch by Mayenda to set the shot up. Like, you don't realise it until you say about how good that first touch was. On his left foot, lovely little touch, just takes it a couple of inches away from the Sheffield United player who has to stretch, and then twatted it into the back of the net. You could have 3 keepers in that goal and none of them would have saved it. It was an unbelievable finish.
You knew it was going in, didn't you? As soon as he got the ball, you knew that was going in. Because that's the confidence, and everyone's saying a lot about Mayenda as well. And saw what happened, like Blackburn away and Stoke away over Christmas, where he missed 2 massively, goals he should have scored. And the goals that he scored lately, I mean, the one against Coventry to go around the keeper, and then that one yesterday, that's just a sign of a striker who's going to be class. Well, he is class now, but he's going all the way. Like, what a finish! And I mean, just the whole celebration as well, though, wasn't it? It was mint. He was calm as a cucumber. He wasn't smiling all like, look, when I comes flying down the touchline, all he does the Randy Orton thing. It's just class, wasn't it? It was just such a great celebration for him.
Oh, unbelievable.
I think if you look at like the players, all the young players who are coming through, and like the ceiling for them is all so high, but Mienda's one of those guys you could really see go to top 4, top 5 team next 3-4 years. I'd say there's going to be loads of clubs sniffing around him because he just has all the components of like top striker if he gets some consistency with his goal scoring. Like,
he'd have been gone if we didn't get promoted. Oh, that's how convinced I am.
Yeah,
I mean, he's got everything that a big club wants in it, but he would be a project for them. He still needs to. He's got a lot of room to develop. But if we've said this quite a lot on here the last couple of weeks, I'm sorry to repeat myself. But if you compare him to Elijah Mayenda of November, December time, the rate of improvement is absolutely ridiculous. I've never seen a player improve that much over such a short span.
We've said it on podcasts before, Gav, as well, on some of the reaction ones, that it coincides with his Spain call-up, doesn't it? All of a sudden, he's come back from that Spanish camp a completely different player, and you're quite right.
Did you not see that story in the Spanish news today? He's been interviewed because he's went off to join the under-20s, Spanish under-20s, and they're already talking to him about getting in the senior squad. He was asked about that, and he was like, "It's my ambition down the line to get in there eventually, but I'm just focusing on the 19s and 20s at the minute because I've just got into this squad." And but that's how they're talking about him in Spain, And that's when
there's no one in the Premier League, Gal. There's no one in the Premier League like him. Just got that raw, like a little bit. He's still a rough time and everything like that. You know what I mean? And the only one I can think of in the Premier League is like Isak. And Mayenda's got I know Isak scores a lot of goals now for them, put them up the road. I'm not mentioning the names, but he's got that kind of raw pace, raw ability, raw skill, and then just put a couple of finishing touches on, get a couple of good experienced players around him. He'll be unbelievable. You know what I mean?
He's so good with his back to goal as well.
Yeah.
With his back to goal, receiving the ball into feet. There's no one. You don't see many players or strikers at least that can do that now.
No, and the explosive pace, just to get away, is ridiculous. He just leaves people just chasing their tail, with him going away.
There was a stat doing the rounds, I think today. I don't know exactly. Don't quote us on it, but it was something like he's the best dribbling striker in the world at the minute.
Saw that.
In whatever metric it was, but it's basically dribbles per 100 or something.
Successful dribbles per 100, per however many minutes or whatever,
Yeah, which again will put him on the radar of other clubs. So we had to get promoted to keep it. I'm convinced he would have been gone, but great that he's had his moment as well. And like you said, Ant, he was so cool, man. He's just such a cool bloke, and to be honest, I'd probably be like that if the whole of Sunderland had sang my name non-stop for 3 days in London. Because last time it was Sunderland take over everywhere they go, wasn't it? When we played Wickham, this time it was didn't matter where I was in London. I just could hear them. I even
woke up, big man.
It didn't matter where you were. I was lying in bed at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I had the window open, and I just heard someone singing it at 7 in the morning, and walking around London, probably on their own, pissed. So I totally get it, but I think Mayenda's just we've said this loads. We love Isidore, but Mayenda's got that little bit of extra something, and
the X factor in it, whatever the X factor is, that's what Mayenda is.
Hey,
you know what I mean?
To turn up in a big game and score a goal like that, you've got bollocks. Like,
and let's not forget the semi-final as well.
And yeah, and he's, but that even the whole thing with the Randy Orton pause, the wrestler, he fucking shared on Facebook and Instagram, that didn't he? So like this whole other audience has just been opened up to Sunderland because of a wrestler.
And all that is again though, Gav, though, going back to social media, that wouldn't have happened without what happened this week when they said who's your favourite sportsman, and he's just cool with calm. Randy Orton. Then the bloke interviewing goes, Randy Orton, I think he's great. You know what I mean? All that wouldn't have happened. And it's just, as you mentioned, just everything this week, going back to what Saturday is, what the media's done, what the clubs are, what everything's done, has been absolutely spot on. And, and our media teams had some, they've had some whoppers back, about a few years ago and everything like that. But what they've done this week, whoever's in charge of that, whoever puts that together, give him a massive pay rise for next season because he's done so well.
Yeah. And then after, to be honest, I don't know about you, Mike, after that, I was like, I turned to my dad and I went, we're going to win this in normal time. I said, again, I must have said 20 times, these are shit. We're going to beat them. I was just so convinced. Like, Sheffield United were crap. They couldn't hold on to the ball. They were knocking it out to play from goal kicks and simple passes, 5-yard passes were going out for throw-ins and stuff. And I'm like, these are rattled. They're not just rattled, they're tired. They look fucked from about 70 minutes on, I thought. And like, I just don't know about you, like I say, but I just felt so confident from that point.
Yeah, I think once the first goal went in, you just knew the momentum was swinging our way, like completely. Like, we were completely on top. And as you said, like, whilst we weren't creating any chances, I never feared Sheffield United were going to, steal away and get a late win or anything. It was only going one way. And I don't know how to describe it, like, but the moment Watson gets that ball just around the halfway line, like, kind of in my head is like, he's going to go shoot here now. This could be the moment. Like, and I was just like kind of watching it building as he got closer to goal. And when that went in, like, I hugged, kissed anyone around me. I don't know who the hell it was. Like, you completely lose your shit. Like, and then you just like, I don't know what it was, it's like the last 8 years or whatever just comes out, and I actually just started crying. Like, I couldn't stop crying.
Yeah, same.
Just ridiculous emotion around the place. But yeah, I just think, as I said already, I just felt like even since the Coventry game, because like even the end of the season, I know me, Ant and yourself did like the Blackburn podcast, and I was like, oh, it's grand, chill out. Like, people were getting stressed, but even after that, I started getting a little bit stressed after we lost like QPR, and Ox was like, shit, we're actually falling apart here. But from the playoffs onwards, it just felt like something was written in the stars for us to go up this year. Like, I just feel like it was just coming together perfectly, and it was good. Like, when that goal went in, you could just see the relief and the emotion of everyone around the Sunderland end. It was probably one of those memorable moments no one's ever going to forget. Like,
when I was just tonight, I've been listening to BBC Newcastle for Total Sport, and they played the commentary back from it was obviously Nick Barnes, Benno, and Marco. And when Tommy Watson picks the ball up, Benno's screaming for him to pass it. He's got options, pass it. And that was the same. If you look at it back again, slowed down, he's probably got like 3 or 4 really like tempting passes on. And I think 95% of players will pass in that situation. And, we've all said what we've said about Watson and this move to Brighton and all the rest of it. Is he ready? Is he not? And all the rest of it. But that's the sort of thing he does that's got him that move. Because scouts watching him will have like picked up on like that's something that not every player does in that situation. They'll not be brave. They'll do I'm not going to say cowardly, but they'll do the simple thing and they'll play it 5 yards to somebody else because they don't want that responsibility. They don't want to be the person in the 95th minute who should have passed the ball and fucked it up. And honestly, you've got to give credit to Watson. That's something that, like I say, not many players would do. And he not only shoots, but he controls it and passes it around, sort of bent it around 2 Sheffield United players.
He used the defender as like the kind of his option to curl it around. Yeah, it was amazing.
It was an absolutely unbelievable finish for a 19-year-old kid. Is he 19, 18-year-old to do that?
Just turned 19, so he's a year older than Chris Rigg.
Yeah, to do that in a game of that importance at that point in the game is absolutely ridiculous. Like, Tommy Watson will not get the credit he deserves for that because, unfortunately, I think we're all still a bit tinged with like he's leaving, and like if any other player had scored that goal, I think that we're not really talking about Tommy Watson, and I feel like we should be, because he did something very, very brave on the football pitch. Brighton will be licking their lips having watched that, going that was fucking unbelievable. And it was.
Do you know what, Gav? You mentioned just there before that had he passed it or whatever, and he could have easily done that, because can you imagine what's going through his head there if, he's got, because he had, I think it was definitely Roberts was in a fantastic position, and he shot, and and it was Tiamas out, he just goes straight to the goalkeeper, everyone's going to yes, stupid twat, this, that, and the other. The bravery that took, the courage that took to go all the way and put that in, and also the belief in himself to do it, probably deserves a lot more credit than what he has got, because that's the last kick of it, that last kick of the ball is going to have the Sunderland player. And, a lot of people said some nasty things and booed him on, which I never done. I said 6 weeks ago, I can't remember who we come on against now. And I said to my cousin, I bet he gets to win at Wembley, because everyone hates him, and it's just one of them things. But like I say, going back, the cojones that takes for him to do that, and the belief in himself to do it. Fair play. And you know what? We might all be thinking, well, you could be a hero, he'd be going off or whatever, but fair play. And we've probably just got to see it now, because I don't think anyone else will want to. Thank you very much. And good luck with the rest of your career.
Nice? What was really, really good is that after that goal, the whole Sunderland then was singing One of Our Own. And I think that would have meant so much more to him than probably even scoring the goal, because, he's a Sunderland lad. He's been at the club since he was a little kid, and he's felt he wouldn't have been immune to the boos and the negativity that's gone towards him. So to hear, 37,000 fans at Wembley singing One of Our Own in his last appearance as a Sunderland shirt, I think that will mean the absolute world to him, and he'll take that with him probably. And appreciate that more than his playoff winners medal.
And like when you talk about a story, like how do you feel like you're living in a simulation?
Netflix must be fuming.
Yeah, I know, but like the whole like till the end thing, right? When people cottoned on they were doing that again, a lot of people were like, I wish they wouldn't do that. It's been done to death. Like they've done it twice already, and blah blah blah. I mean, one, they've done an unbelievable job of it. The marketing around this, David Bruce needs the credit for that, by the way. It's all been him. That's something he's brought to the fold. Obviously aided and abetted by some very talented people, but he's the real driving force behind all of that. But just the words till the end. We score late on at Coventry. We score with the last kick of the ball against Coventry at the Stadium of Light, and then we score in the last sort of minutes of injury time at Wembley. Like, you literally could not write that. You could not. It's just ridiculous. Like, we will never, ever, ever see anything like that again. No. Our football club will never experience anything like that again. No. And like, I said to my dad after the game, I said, other than winning a cup, and in our lifetime, we're probably not going to win an FA Cup or a League Cup. Hopefully we do. But like, last time we did it was 50 years ago. So there's a slim chance it won't happen for a long time. That's as good as it gets. I would rather. I always said if you're going to get promoted, that's how you do it, right? Yeah. Winning the league and finishing second is fantastic, but you can't tell me that Burnley fans and Leeds fans had a better experience of promotion than we did, because that is hands down the best way you could possibly do it.
Gav,
it's the worst way to not go up, and it's the best way to go up.
Yeah, no one will experience what we've experienced. That'll never happen again. As we've mentioned before, a late winner in the away leg, the last kick of the game in the home leg, a homegrown player who's leaving in the last minute of Wembley. That will not happen again. That is a Hollywood ending, that, isn't it? It's going back, like the 90s. It's Roy of the Rovers stuff, isn't it? That doesn't happen on a football pitch, and that does not happen to Sunderland AFC. Does now.
But go on, Mike. You were going to say something there, mate.
I know. I just I don't even know how to put into words other than just it's going to be a serious book or DVD or something's going to come out of this. Like, as you said, Bob, like Netflix would have been perfect for that. They only come back to like just 3 games, like to make another episode of that. Just go like, 3 years later, actually, this is what's happening next. But it's just, as I said, I just had a feeling though. I don't know. There's no like rhyme or reason to it, but like after when we could beat Coventry the first day, it's like, oh fuck, actually, I think we might get through this because things are happening that haven't happened before. Like, and even look back over the season, like winning away to Swansea laid on, Middlesbrough laid on, that draw against Leeds. We were just sort of getting these results that maybe at times we didn't really deserve, but things were going our way. And it just sometimes like teams go on these kind of runs or momentum like that. No, there's no real reason why it's happening, but it's just coming together for them. And I think this is sort of accumulation of everything maybe that the club have worked towards over the last few years. And I think like people aren't even giving credit to like maybe Carroll and Christian Speakman for like the recruitment and things they've done, because they've assembled a serious team with a serious coaching staff behind them. Like, and they deserve the credit for that hard work over the last few years as well for it to come back together. Like,
and you know, you said it's the perfect way to go, Bomber, you know, but like even Charlton, so like Charlton won the League One playoff, and it was a crap game. I watched it in the pub yesterday. It was a crap game. It was a free kick, which the keeper was terrible. The ball was terrible. The keeper was terrible, and it was like early on in the game. Like, but yeah, they got promoted, but it wasn't as good as what we got. Like, I'm genuinely that'll never ever be topped in our lifetime. We'll never do anything as good as that. I don't care what anyone says. We're never going to win the Premier League.
I don't think,
you know,
anyone will. I don't think
we'd have a difficult time of winning a cup. Like,
I don't even think an FA Cup would be better than that. I don't even think an FA Cup would be better than that. Like, nothing's better than that, because a cup is a cup, but like this is, you're getting the promotion as well as just the extra part of it. Like, as well, just
this is the present and the future of our football club. It's not a moment in time. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's why it meant so much to people. It's come full circle from the shit of double relegations and scrapping around in League One, going to, no disrespect to him, but going to fucking Walsall and Cheltenham Town and places like that. And we've come full circle now.
You had to get Cheltenham in there, by the way, didn't you?
I did, mate. I was at that away game, by the way, so I'm entitled to it. But just to come full circle, like I say, winning an FA Cup or a League Cup or Papa John's Trophy or whatever it is special, but it doesn't have any bearing into the future of the football club. Saturday night did. And it could be the start of I might be getting carried away, but it could be the start of a new era it is. It's the start of a new era for Sunderland. And it might be, it just means so much to everybody, like I say, for the present and the future of our football club. So it will never be topped. It's the best game of football I've ever watched live. It's one of the best days of my life. It's insane. It's insane. And it'll mean so much to everybody.
But it did. That's when you're looking around and there's just people bawling their eyes out, grabbing their kids and their dads and hugging each other and that. Unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, you know, we've got family who are up in the northeast over the weekend, just visiting. My lasses from South Yorkshire, ironically, and they're staying like in an Airbnb down Roker, and they watched the game in the Airbnb, and then they went out and they said people were just running around the streets, screaming, singing Sunderland songs, kids standing on the wall. These are people who weren't even there, you know. Everybody, I mean, you've just hit the nail on the head there, Bomber. Like, what it means to people is, it's more than football in it, and
100%. And you know what? If you've gone on about the celebration police and all that stuff that happened against Coventry and stuff, if you cannot understand what this means for a team who got relegated twice in a row, who had to endure 4 years in League One with, cart horse players scoring goals and doing the fucking Anjira celebration, getting beat 6-0 off Bolton, and then, finally getting out of there by hook or by crook, thanks to, Alex Neil, then to see that manager leave you for some jobbers down in Stoke, to go through the playoff heartbreak down at Luton, to have Michael Beale for 60 days or whatever it is we had him. And now we've got a manager it's his first season in English football with young lads, young grown academy lads, mixed in with some excellent signings from Christian Speakman and Kevin Louis-Dreyfus and everyone, involved in all that. For it to come full circle on Saturday, there's a reason why grown men and women were crying their eyes out, because we have been through this shit in the last odd years or whatever, and we've had players here who haven't deserved to wear the badge, haven't even tried for the club or anything like that. And that's why I think that outpouring emotion was, because we know that these players care. They've done it all the time, and that was for me. I mean, I'll admit this. I mean, I've cried about 4 or 5 times as a Sunderland fan, but 3 of them have been at Wembley. Both Charlton games. I had a good old cry, both of them. One when I was young, one when I was older. And Saturday was just sat there with my mates and with my cousins and all that. And I've said this. We're all mates here, and you all know that I've had issues with my dad this year. And my dad's, been following this football. He went in 1973, and he's had an operation on his heart. He's had an operation on his leg. And on Thursday, I went to see him. He goes, just wish I'd be there. I wish I could be there. And to have that moment, even though he was watching on the telly or whatever, to have that moment of, I'm so glad we've done it just for you, because you've had a horrible year. And I'm getting pretty teed up saying it now, you know what I mean? It's just it's just what it means. And that's what, people who don't get football will never understand. That's what football does to you. It brings out the worst in people, but it also brings out the very, very best in you. And that's what it was.
Can I just, if I can just bookend that as well, Ant, I didn't appreciate until I was at Wembley really just how lucky I was, as a guy who's not from the Northeast, but is passionate about the club, loves the club to death. I was one of the 37,000 that were able to go and be in Wembley. And Mikey, I'm sure you're the same, to watch it live when there's another 30,000 people watching it, not just in the Northeast, but any different, all the exiles as well, watching it, can't be at Wembley. I felt so privileged. And it's genuinely like a lifetime privilege to be able to have been there and say, I was there, I watched it, I was in Wembley, I was singing Ready to Go, I was singing Wise Men Say. It was just incredible. I feel so lucky for it.
I don't know what it is like, because when you're at the match, when it was happening, I didn't even feel that I was starting to cry. You just feel the tears coming out of you, and I just think it is that outpouring of emotion of, oh, thank God we've got something we've deserved over the years. And as Anton Bomber was saying there, I'm obviously different. I'm Irish. I don't have any family or connection with Sunderland, but thank God my dad, when I was 5 years of age, just put the jersey on top of me and said, you're not supporting anyone else, this is your team from the start. And it just becomes you become very, very attached emotionally, mentally, all part of you. Sunderland is my team, whether I'm obviously from there or not, but that was a core memory for me, and probably will be when I'm 80 years of age. It'll just be that moment you'll never forget in your lifetime. And to be there and to experience with people a joint sort of outpouring of emotion and joy is such an amazing feeling to have.
I looked down. Well, actually, it was me dad nudged us. It was when all the celebrations were going on just after the full-time whistle. And my dad prodded us in the side and pointed down at this kid in the row in front. He must have been 7, 8-year-old, something like that, maybe 9, I don't know. And he was inconsolable, just sat with his shirt off in his chair, head in his hands, bawling his eyes out. And I was fucking, that's what it, unbelievable. That got me going. I was all right what was going on the pitch. That happened. I went, fuck's sake, look at that.
Yeah.
His dad was
he's 7 years of Sunderland fan now. He's fucked.
He's had the best of times. But what I mean by that is that's proper parenting, isn't it? It's what we all went, sorry, not all of us, but majority of us went through, and people listening will have had the same thing. When your dad gave you zero choice to be a Sunderland fan, it was for shit like that, wasn't it? It was you're going to go through years of crap, and then you're going to get that one moment that way you're what a fucking club we support. And I'm like, I know, man, look at this. Fuck's sake.
Yeah, you're right, Gav, you're right.
That's a question for everyone.
But Gav, you're absolutely right there. You're absolutely right. And like I said before, we've got, there's clubs that have kind of lost the way a little bit and forgotten what it means to be a football fan. And you look at where we were. I joined Rover Football 5-6 years ago, and I think it was just after the Charlton game, and I joined then, and it was God, we're in the doldrums here. You know what I mean? And we've gone through since then. You know, we've gone through like the lockdown and stuff where we couldn't go and watch them. You know, then we come back into League One. We got that bloody Max Power free kick, which. But everything happens for it. Just feels like all that stuff's happened for this moment on Saturday. It feels like all of that shite that happened and all those players who've come in and took the piss, and it's come to a head on Saturday afternoon. And I keep going back to a local lad who's leaving to score in the last minute, and it's like, all that crap's been worth it, hasn't it? All those long trips and go to Accrington and getting pissed on, you know what I mean? And the game getting about, go to Gillingham and feeling for your life on that stadium and that ground and that stand and stuff. And then you're like thinking, hang on, you know what I mean? Maybe it was all worth it. And that moment on Saturday, and I'm like, we had like a kid, and it was when Watson scored, and he was crying his eyes out, and I was like, we're going up though, it's mint. And then like when the vault line whistle went, I was like, I did exactly the same thing, and I was bawling. But then when I was looking around, and like I say, my mates are crying. I've never seen my cousin Jack. He keeps his emotions in check. You know, he really does. And he was crying, and the three people below us are giving us all hugs and all this, and it was like, what a moment, man. And that's our 73 moment. Our generation's got that 73 moment, isn't it? When I'm sure it was exactly the same when that happened. And it was in probably same circumstances, beating a team from Yorkshire, and all that stuff. And it was, if you could bottle that feeling that high, I would just take that feeling for the rest of my life, because I would die a happy man, you know what I mean? Just what a moment. And that'll never be beaten for me. In my lifetime, I thought the Dan Ballard one would never be beaten, and it was beaten.
Yeah, I was going to say. There's only two moments in my life where I've cried at the football. One was Saturday, but before that, it was as an 11-year-old when England got knocked out of Euro '96. Yeah. So that's the only two times that football's made me cry. I'm quite good at keeping my emotions in check and keeping things bottled in, but I just couldn't. The lad who was next to me, I said he must have been mid-20s, 24, 25, he collapsed to his knees, and I had to grab him and pull him back to stop him going over the seats in front. It was just, he just collapsed down to his knees and was like sobbing. And then I pulled him up, and we had our arms around each other. I'd never seen the bloke or spoken to the bloke before in my life, but we kind of had our arms around each other, both just crying our eyes out. It was ridiculous.
It was like that everywhere you looked, like I said. And I think you summed that up really well, and when you talk about the crap you've been through, I started doing podcasts for Road Report the season we went down under Moyes. So I've kind of this has gone full circle now in terms of podcasts. So and I can remember that season was appalling, like just everybody in the club had given up. They'd given up on just being a club. Like, they weren't a club. They were disjointed. They were signing players who shouldn't have been anywhere near Sunderland. And then you think, after that season, you think, well, surely, it can't be that bad again. We go again, and it got even worse, Yeah. We then kind of just, we actually gave up that following season where, just people in charge like Martin Bain, the owner didn't care. He wanted to be away. We had no money to spend on players because we'd spent it all, and we'd borrowed from Peter to pay Paul for as long as we had, and just let the stadium and academy go to rack and ruin, and just took the piss out of fans, basically. You know what I mean? Like, the loyalty of the fans got the piss taken out of us. So to have gone through all of that, and then to come out now where you've got like people like Wilson Isidore, Job. Yeah, we know Job's leaving, right? But was there any question of his commitment on Saturday? Like, none whatsoever. That's the ethos. And I think, to be honest with you, right, I think Luke O'Nien deserves more credit for that than anybody, to be honest, because he was there at the start. He was there in League One. He had to deal with the likes of Cattermole still at the club, who were on, more money than he's ever seen, and he had to play alongside him. And like, he's like, just wants to be a footballer, wants to make it work at Sunderland, and he's like with lads who've been through the Premier League relegation and the Championship relegation. So he's seen all of that. He's then set the standards at the football club. And I think it was Tommy Watson after the game called out O'Nien, and he said, Luke's been brilliant for me in terms of like helping me and all the other young lads at the club. I honestly think that mentality you saw out on the football pitch with so many young players who have, a lot of them do have a connection to the Northeast, but a lot of them don't. Likes of Wilson Isidore, Enzo Lefebvre, who, for all intents and purposes, Lefebvre could have came here and been big time, couldn't he? Had a big money move to Roma, had all that hype about him, and yet he's come to Sunderland and just bought into it and loves it. The likes of Salis, who've barely kicked the ball, and they're part of it, aren't they? They're all part of it. You look like on the videos, and it's like lads who've barely kicked the ball for us. They're just a proper club now.
It looks like a group of like schoolmates who have grown up together, played football together for their school, and it's like their final day at school before they all go off and go off to secondary school. It looks like it's a team that's kind of grown up together. And just to come back to Luke O'Nien, you find me a player who deserves a shot at being a Premier League player more than Luke O'Nien, and I'll call you a liar. Yeah. That man deserves, even if he doesn't play every week, and we bring in players. If anybody deserves to have the title Premier League footballer on their resume, it's Luke O'Nien, and I won't be told different.
No, I agree. Totally agree.
I think something I might be wrong. I could do with Chris and Martin for this one because they're the experts on that era of Sunderland. But I'm pretty sure that kind of happened with John McPhail back in the day. I think because he'd been with the club in the third tier and he went all the way through. I think he might have got one game in the top flight, something like. I might be wrong, but I think Luke O'Nien will do a lot better than that. But you've got to give a player like that his opportunity. He's worked his whole life for that opportunity. Yeah. And I was gutted for him that he never got much of a chance on Saturday. But at the same time, he said himself, I couldn't give a shit. I think, didn't he say he would have ripped both his arms off to get someone promoted?
Yeah. You've got to think as well with him. He must have been in absolute agony as well, because obviously, a dislocated shoulder. It's a very painful thing to happen. And he could have easily just went, right, go off to hospital, get fixed. But the fact he didn't leave. He stayed and he was running down the pitch when my end has scored. And like I say, he must have been in absolute agony there. Anybody stayed, he wanted to watch it all out. No one would have done that. Nobody but Luke O'Nien. And Bomber's hit the nail on the head there. No one deserves this more than him. Because he's gone through the ringer with us, hasn't he? Because, he's had all that stuff on. He's not a centre midfielder. Remember his debut against Charlton? He was fucking absolutely horrendous. And it's all gone full circle. And that's the kind of player now that we want to see now. And that what we are seeing now is someone who buys into the club, someone who's took the club now. And he is one of our own now. I know he's from London or whatever, but he's a Macam. Wilson Isidore saying Mara and all this, and they all buy into it. And yes, some of these players will leave. You mentioned before with Joe Bellingham and everything like that. Some of these won't be here next season, but we'll all have that moment on Saturday where we were all one celebrating that. Yeah. And that for me is just better than anything else. And that's why I said to everyone beforehand when we were talking off air, I don't even want to think about next season yet. I just want to still have those memories that will last for me a lifetime. I think about probably when the fixtures come out, I think, it's going to probably get real then now, but have that, enjoy this moment, Sunderland fans, because we probably won't get many more as good as that with this group of players. It was tremendous.
I think even just they're not looking to next season, but one thing we have to keep is that togetherness and core sort of collective spirit we have as a team. That's nearly our biggest strength going forward, will be that sort of team spirit we have going into next season. If we start losing that a bit, obviously some lads will go, but the likes of O'Nien and the leaders in that squad are crucial to keep that collectiveness and sort of togetherness that the team has at the moment. If we lose that, I feel like we're half the team we are.
It's that team spirit is what if we've got half a chance of staying up next season, it's going to be that team spirit is going to be worth 10, 12 points alone. I think as long as we can keep the core of it together.
100%.
Before we go anywhere as well, I think we've got to talk about Regis Lebris, because what a guy, man. Just such an understated professional. I saw Wilder on the other line, and he's an absolute tit him. He's an absolute prick. And he's it's all about him. He's got this massive ego. Even, didn't there be Chef Wedding? He's he made sure he was in a pub singing Chef United songs and that. It's all about him. Our manager, on the other hand, I think if he could have just wandered off and stood at the other end of Wembley and just watched these players crack on in silence, he'd have been more than happy. There's not an ounce of ego in that bloke, is there? I mean, and like I said when we were talking about the match, he won us that game with his tactics. They were unbelievable. He won us the 2 legs against Coventry with his tactics. The way he's prepared this team for, because he got a lot of stick for that, for kind of basically throwing the end of the season. But he was so confident in his belief about his own ability and what he was going to do. It didn't bother him. I just think that without going into next season too much, I hope people remember this and they don't turn on him after 5 or 6 games if we don't have a good start, because we should be doing everything we can to keep him. Because I tell you what it is, there's going to be a lot of football clubs across Europe looking at him and going, he could step up a bit. You know what I mean?
You look at the likes of Brighton and Brentford and that, who have their succession plans. He'll be on that shortlist for sure. If an opportunity like that comes up, he'll be on their shortlist for sure. And
he deserves so much credit for the job he's done. We were absolutely woeful last season. We finished 16th in the league. We had a style of football which it just didn't work with the players we had, and we've not made a massive amount of changes to the squad ever. When you look at it, it's virtually the same. 6 or 7 of them lads played in the League One playoff final. So it's not a massive, the squad's not changed a lot, but he brought in a couple of players he knows, and they've made a big difference. And they were his signings. We give Speakman and Stuart Harvey and whoever else credit. They were his signings. They were lads he knew. We wouldn't have got Lefebvre without Lebris. We wouldn't have got Isidore without Lebris.
Well, there was that article with Lefebvre, wasn't there, where he said that basically he thought he was going somewhere else, and then he had a text off of Lebris. So Lebris actually texted him, personal mobile to personal mobile, saying, "Do you fancy this opportunity? I'd love for you to come over and play in England for me." And that changed his mind. Lefebvre, for all intents and purposes, was going elsewhere. And then in the 11th hour, just a random text message from your old youth coach to say, "Do you want to come over?" And the rest is history, isn't it?
Yeah. And like I say, though, I just such a class bloke, and he just a classy operator. Yeah. Like Mike, I don't know if you want to. You've got a little story about him from the after party you were at, right?
Yeah, but it sums him up as a person. Like, I mean, it was a lot of people drinking, a lot of partying, a lot of dancing, but he's sitting in the corner with cheese and crackers and red wine and just did not move. But it just sums him up. Like, he's just so understated, but he's got that sort of inner belief and inner confidence in himself and his ability. Like, and I'd say he's just so thorough, so hardworking. And we wouldn't have done it without him. Like, I'd say there was no stone left unturned there. Like, he literally covered all bases for Saturday. I'd say sleepless nights up to the game. Like, but he's top quality. Like, and I mean, no one had heard of him before he came in last year. I don't even think he spoke English last summer. Like, so you see that he's put his heart and soul. He's bought into the club, and it's just he deserves it more than anyone really. Like, because he's put all the hard work for us.
Yeah, he won't be because he's not that sort of character, but he deserves to be so smug right now. Like Gav mentioned earlier, like the shit he was getting for the last 5-6 games of the season, and it was just like water off a duck's back. He had complete confidence in what he was doing, and I'm sure he was sat eating his cheese and crackers, just like nodding to himself, going, "Yeah, I was right."
Yeah,
yeah.
Do you know what as well? What a risk. What a risk! What a risk that was. That could have easily gone, if it had gone wrong and we were still in the Championship and we didn't have a great start next season, everyone would have been calling for his head, wouldn't they? You know what I mean? And for him to do that, but from the start, you felt safe with him, haven't you? Like the start, because we had a really good start of the season. He's brought some players in. We mentioned the Faye and stuff like that, and even on Saturday, like he wasn't getting overly into the games what Wilder was, you know what I mean? There was a couple of when we scored, obviously he was going wild and stuff like that, but he looked calm. He looked as if everything was going right. And the only obviously the times I've seen really do one was the 2 goals, but when Trey put that tackle in on Brereton, and he's seen him just go like that, you know what I mean? And he's just I love the bloke. Like we saw Peter Reid, didn't we, in the crowd afterwards and stuff like that. And it was from generation to generation, Peter Reid, who was my first favourite manager. And he got us up, didn't he? And he got us back to where we belong. And now Reggie's has done it. It's mint. It's mint. And
if Lebris manages to keep us up next season, he's up there alongside Reedy for me.
Oh, he'd be a legend, yeah.
He's got to be, yeah.
Yeah, but it's just how clever he is as well, isn't it, as well? He's seeing things 3 or 4, steps before anyone else is on it. And the fact that he did that and he said, right, we're going to not stop the same, but pause, says, give these players a chance, give players who are coming in. And we mentioned Tommy Watson before, and Tommy Watson had got, was it March when we said he was going when, he got released, and he was still playing him. He was still giving him minutes. He was still starting games and stuff like that, because he knew he needed every single person in that squad to make a difference should the time arrive. The time arrived on Saturday for Tommy Watson, and there we go. So fair play to him.
Yeah.
What a clever man. And as you said there, I think it was Tommy said about the Brightons and the Brentfords of this world will want him. We'll do well to keep a hold of him. I will say that. He's destined for great things. So well done, and thank you very much, Mr. DEBRIEF.
I hope everybody who wanted him sacked feels like an absolute bellend right now. In fact, one lad, I'm not going to name him, but one lad's put his account on protected because he had it as his pinned tweet that he would never get us promoted, and he was adamant. There was people all over. There was not many minding. I know there were a minority, but there were people who wanted him sacked, man. And I just think
it's a lot of idiots. There's like people.
Well, I hope they realise that
footballer. I
hope they realise. And I hope they realise that they're idiots and they learn to shut their mouth in the future and just let things play out. I know as fans we're allowed to have concerns, but going. I don't know. Anyways, I'm not going to talk about people like that. We've had a lovely time talking today.
Positive vibes, guys. Positive vibes.
That's it, mate. That's it. Yeah, but I hope people who thought that way feel really stupid. Anyway, before I say I've got to tell you this, like you might know anyways. I put it in the chat, but the listeners won't. We hung about London till late yesterday. It was like 7:00 before I got on a train. So as you do, you just head to the pub because there's nothing else to do, and we headed to O'Neill's just opposite King's Cross, but totally unplanned. Like the team bus was outside the hotel, which I didn't realise the club was staying there, and there was hundreds of Sunderland fans sort of lining the streets waiting for the players to come out. And I mean, there's not a chance any of them players went to bed the night before. They were all still stotting. They were all absolutely mortal, and it was great. It was absolutely great them coming out. I mean, my niece who was with us, she wanted selfies with them all, so I piled in with her just to get the photos because I'm quite confident. I don't mind just stepping in front of one of them, thinking I get a photo. My ender, how he's turned up for that training camp in Spain, I don't know. He couldn't walk in a straight line. He was absolutely mortal. And I've got a photo with him where there's nothing going on behind the eyes. Absolutely gone. Dan Neil's voice was completely gone, so they must have just been singing all night. They must have had a great night. And I tell you what it is, I hope they did. I hope they had a brilliant night. Yeah. I know Anthony Patterson and Simon Moore had an even better next day as well, because they didn't get on the team coach back to the North East. They were in the same pub as me all afternoon, just dancing, singing, fans getting them involved with the songs. The more pissed Moore got, he was just basically a karaoke machine standing there. He was just Sunderland song after Sunderland song with the odd bit of Oasis chucked in. And then turned away to watch the football, turned around 5 minutes later and he sat down with his head between his knees. Someone trying to pour water down his neck. I mean, but totally deserved. Like, there's another lad, we talk about understated players, members of the squad who've not really played much football this season. Moore's another one. They've done that video last week where they were on about, like, who would you invite to your dinner party from the squad and all that. I think virtually everyone had Simon Moore in there. He's obviously, really well liked. So fair play, he's played his part, even if he hasn't been on the pitch much. But just, it was great to see them. I said to my dad, isn't it nice to see footballers just mingling with normal people, like fans. Like, I think most of the time they can't. But like in a situation like that, it's like you can get in right in amongst it. The pub was full of Sunderland fans. It was a lovely atmosphere, and it was just nice. I didn't go over to say anything or anything, but they were being mobbed constantly for photos and stuff. And Patterson in particular was getting mobbed because he was the man of the match. Another funny story about that: the bouncer wouldn't let him in the pub at first. He didn't know who he was. He didn't have a clue who Anthony Patterson was, and the fans were like coming out like, "You for fucking real? He was man of the match at Wembley yesterday. Like, let him in." And he was going, "No, he doesn't have his ID." He was ID and Patterson at the door. So the Sunderland fan at the door had to fucking show photos of Patterson on Google with his Wikipedia page to the bouncer so he would let him in. And then an hour later, anyways, I turned around, the bouncer's getting a selfie with him. So he's totally changed by this point. He's seen everyone else walking up and getting photos and thought, I'm going to get one. He must be big time, this fella.
Do you know what?
I've got no idea.
Do you know what, man? Them stories are class as well. It resonates with like the whole, like, you could have like had loads of people who's got them stories, and it just all meant like the same thing, didn't it? You know what I mean? But that, like we were in the ground, and obviously, as you all, you know, like our fellow Lasses team, and I was talking to the assistant manager, Steph Libby, because me and Steph have nice conversations every time we see each other. And she goes, I was always many of the Lasses team and the players here, a lot of them have gone on holiday because obviously, you know, the end of their seasons. But Demi's here, he was a goalkeeper who isn't a Mackham. She's from London. And Kira Flannery's here, amongst a few others. And Demi came along. Me and Demi then down the pint together. You know what I mean? Like this is last I've spoken to him maybe once or twice, you know, got a photo with me nephew and stuff like that. She said, I went down, right, mint, there again, down the pint. And Kira Flannery, who doesn't play for the club, she's on loan from West Ham. It's like, right, that's another one, bang. It's like, this is mint, this. And as you're saying, neither football club would do that.
Yeah.
Speaking of dining points, can we just have one shout out to Trey Hume as well for making that pint of Guinness on the way off the bus? And that's a funny thing as well. So I went to O'Neill's with Malk after the game, and we sat there drinking, and all of a sudden the team bus comes past, and we're like, that's the team bus. So you go to have a look, and then it pulls in, and we all just belted it out of O'Neill's. I think O'Neill's went from about full capacity to empty in about 30 seconds. So we all went out there, and you said about him partying, Gav, like the bus doors open. Luke O'Nine's like hanging out with his one good arm, fist pump in the air. Dan Neil comes out with a crate of Budweiser under each arm. Wilson Isidore's got this massive Bluetooth speaker that he's pumping out the tunes out getting off the bus. It was a cherry on top of the cake, where it really was. But then Malk handing over Trey a pint of Guinness as he's walking into the hotel. Trey doing his very best, necking it, handing it back to him, and then off he goes. It was it was class.
Hang on, was that Malk who gave him the pint? Was it?
It was Malk, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
Class.
Yeah.
Class. Now, like I say, we could sit here all night, lads, and talking about this, but I'm sure we will. We're gonna really ring this out over the week. I think there's plenty of people who are going to want to talk about this. But no, that was lovely. And I said we had no plan, and I even shed a little tear. And it was you who said you were going to cry, Ant. You said I might even cry.
Why? I was filling up like I've got a few more podcasts to go on this week, so I don't think I totally got
your face went the colour of your shirt, Gav.
Yeah, bless you.
I know. I'm warm now. I need to cool down. Nice cool drink. Just not beer. I'm sick of the sight of beer. I've had one pint a day. Like I said, I went for a pint earlier on, and that's it. I can't.
It feels like Christmas, doesn't it? Where you don't know what day it is. You've been pissed for like 3 or 4 days in a row. I mean, I'm going to win tomorrow, and I'm like, oh no, I can't be childless.
It's the bank holidays throwing it all off as well, hasn't it?
Yeah, that's it. Well, cheers, lads. It's been great. Thank you very much for joining us. Been absolutely lovely. Hopefully, the listeners enjoyed that too. If this is the first one you've listened to since you got back from London, go back through the feeds. We've got loads. I mean, I'm not even caught up. We had a On This Week pod go out on Monday morning, which again, I mean, those have just been a brilliant addition to our lineup. So if you haven't listened to any of them yet, make sure you do. Just nerding out over history of Sunderland and some really interesting stuff talked about on those shows. We've also got an interview with Clive Tildesley, the obviously legendary football commentator Clive Tildesley, who covered the game for CBS. So was in the press box covering the game, doing his thing, and Chris had a great chat with him. Which, if you haven't heard that, make sure you do. Also, a reaction pod straight after the game, which was Chris and Martin, who sadly weren't at the game, but it did mean they were able to record straight off the bat and just chat about it. And like I say, just listen to Martin sounding tired and pissed because it's great. But we've got more coming this week. We're not going anywhere over the summer. As long as the stuff to talk about, we'll find something to talk about and do podcasts. I know. I've just been checking the charts there, man. Bloody hell. We're the 8th most listened to football pod today anywhere in the UK. You've got The Overlap, you've got Stick to Football, you've got The Guardian Football Weekly, and then us for some reason.
We might be finally getting paid soon, lads. The dream's coming true at long last.
So, people seem to be enjoying it. People seem to be listening to everything we're doing. We'll not go anywhere. I know these are a source of fun for some people, and we've had some really great messages from people who do appreciate it. So we're going to keep going over the summer. It gives us something to do, gives us something to talk about. We'll be creative with it, though. We can't just talk about Wembley for 2 months, as much as I probably think we probably could, actually. That's
I'd love to do
that. People might get sick of us, though. So, we'll be back in the next few days with some more stuff. Make sure you listen out to it. And cheers, lads. Thanks again. Thank you for the listeners. It's been great. We'll see you later.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.